Welcome to Wednesday. It's Wheels Up Day for Kyle and I on our way to the NAMAD annual meeting. But we're also going to talk about Elon Musk probably buying Twitter, maybe, and an amazing revelation. I'll call it a transfer. Got the hat backwards. A transfer from non-auto to auto. We're going to talk about
transfer.
Something.
In the transfer market today. No.
That's a
We're going to do the rundown. In the stock market today. In the transfer market today.
So today is the first day of the NAMAD annual. I think they call it an annual meeting convention. I don't know, but is it an annual meeting? I kind of like the annual meeting thing. But Kyle and I will be in Miami not too long from now. I think I'm going to touch around 11 or so. I'm going into Miami. You're flying into Fort Lauderdale. We're going to rendezvous at the Fontainebleau, which is a pretty amazing hotel, by the way. NAMAD knows how to throw down. If you haven't gone to a NAMAD, you have to go. It's like there's like pictures of Frank Sinatra there. Like the whole hotel has got this whole vibe going on. It's gonna be awesome.
You mean Damon knows how to go to a place with a vibe? Say it ain't so.
Not the place doesn't have the vibe, but NAMAD brings the vibe too. Yeah, and it's going to be it concludes on Saturday morning. We're going to be there for most of it. We have a panel we're hosting, and just looking forward to talking to a lot of dealers. Because whenever there's a lot of dealers in one spot, we're bringing microphones and like these little things, the podcast and video, and so stay part of the content. Maybe we'll do some live streams from there as well.
That'd be fun. There you go.
So we got podcasts dropping on podcasts. If you don't know. ASOTU Con Sessions, search it up, check it out in the show notes. Or
I'm excited about. I can't wait to listen to one of them today. Is Danielle, who a lot of you know from the ASOTU ecosystem.
This is amazing.
Darren Doan, who a lot of you know in the ecosystem, and they sat down, and none of us knew that they pressed record, and we were like skirt. But
this is what happens when we leave.
I haven't even listened to it yet.
Me neither. This is what happens when we leave the podcast gear unattended, right? It was late in the event. We're all feeling a little groggy. You look up and then, just two people are podcasting. And then, you know what? We're going to release it because that's what we do around here.
Absolutely.
I bet it's really great, though, honestly. I bet it's great.
Yeah, without a doubt. Really thoughtful. They probably get into like some.
I'm going to download it before I take off so I can listen to it on the plane. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. Hey, we have some fun stuff to talk about today. Hey, did you hear, Kyle, that Elon Musk is going to buy Twitter, and then he wasn't going to buy Twitter, and then they were going to fight over Twitter, and now today it's like, you know what? I think I'll buy it at the original terms.
You know what? We'll just do the thing. Yeah. So essentially, what has happened is he was about to be called into court for like multiple days of questioning. There was some data questions around all of the bots, the possible bots, maybe not bots. His team was researching it. The Twitter team was providing data, and it just seems like everything was going to shake up, not like he was quite expecting it to shake up in the whole fight. And so he just said, forget the fight. We'll buy the thing. And at a $54.20 price per share. Now, here's what blows my mind right here. This is the stat. Ready? Now, this from an article earlier. This was from an article earlier. Tesla shares rose by about 2.4%. They closed the day at 2.2%. And then Twitter shares initially jumped 12.7%. They closed the day at over 22% price increase on their shares. Unbelievable. Like
what is that
everybody's
price?
In.
Do you know what the price is? Because I mean, $54.20 is the price it would be purchased and what you would get if you own a share of Twitter.
Right.
So what's the price it actually ended at? It's probably right near that.
Yeah, I think it's
got to be close
under it. So it closed at 52, right at 52.
Which is funny. So it's like if you bought Twitter stock and it goes through, like you make it $2 a share. $2 a share. Why not? 5%.
We'll see what happens to it today and over. I think the transaction won't close for another month or something like that. I love this. So the Twitter employees, obviously found out via Twitter because
talk about a roller coaster.
That's
right?
where Elon announces everything. So Twitter's director of machine learning, ethics, transparency, and accountability, Ruman Chowdhury, said, I'm sitting in on this 2023 company-wide strategy readout, and I guess we're going to collectively ignore what's going on. Right? He's like, we're in here just like doing strategy all the while over on our actual platform. Everyone's yelling about the fact that we're about to get bought, and we're just keeping rolling.
Yeah, I guess we'll just ignore that and just keep doing what we're doing. I love it. I mean, it's just, this is so 20. This whole story is so 2022. Who knows where it's going to happen? The fact that, you know, Elon is tied to automotive and pop culture, and it's like this big convergence all the way around. It's just a wild ride, but it's fun to talk about. It's fun to watch because, you know, like what do you think this does do to the Twitter brand, the Tesla brand? You know, it's funny, the Tesla brand, watching that stock react, right? Twitter doesn't have anything to do with Tesla's performance, right? It's voting machine, right? It's sentiment passing back and forth. But that really is what brand is, right? It's sentiment being transferred back and forth. So it's been an interesting study to watch these two brands react, and the sentiment sway this way and sway that way. Speaking of people swaying one way or another.
Stop.
Segue.
Time.
So we talk a lot about non-automotive talent, mentalities, successes, trying to like lure them into this automotive universe because we need more outside automotive talent to come inside automotive to help seed in all the things that are working around the other retail executions. And there's kind of a big announcement from Car Now, you know, friends of ours, but obviously a very strong player in the industry. Just a year or two ago, and when Roadster and Goo were getting acquired, everyone's looking at Car Now as like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Well, they tipped their hand a little bit about what they're doing today. Kyle, why don't you talk about it? You know a little bit more about it than I do.
Yeah, so just recently they've brought on the ex-VP of Engineering, now ex of Salesforce. Now, this the gentleman, his name is Dan Gemiolo. Sorry, Dan Gemiolo. Dan actually began a team in Raleigh, North Carolina that started from zero and became a team of 150 people. It was the first research and development team actually created within Salesforce. And the other really interesting thing about them is they actually were the main team. If you don't know, Salesforce is the largest CRM in the world. And the majority of probably, if you're an industry partner, you've probably used them. If you're a dealer, you're probably in an industry partner's Salesforce CRM.
Yep.
And I'm telling, it's massive. If you watch F1, if you watch anything around the world, you just see their logo everywhere, but they are a massive company. And I think, gosh, it was probably a year, maybe two ago at this point, Salesforce acquired Slack, which Slack is probably the top business communication platform. And so Salesforce acquires Slack, and his team was the one responsible for deepening the level of integration between Salesforce and Slack. So just a lot of credibility from an engineering perspective. So for Car Now to bring that in, especially with what they've done, you know, a lot of people around the industry know that they've kind of coined this real-time retailing thing. They've got their dealer hub, which is essentially like a secondary CRM to the main CRM, and it really sits in that sales transactional space. You know, you gotta think that they're headed in a couple certain ways.
I haven't pressed this button in a really long time.
Did I do that?
That's my nerd alert button. I'm the resident nerd flagger. I just flag it when I hear the nerdery going on.
Hey,
but here's the bottom line.
I accept it.
It's like, you know when like the saying was, I don't know if it was like the 70s, 60s, 70s. I mean, neither of us were really around then, but there was this saying that said better living through chemistry. And it was when like the farm, like, you know, there was all these things that could help with ailments and things like better living through chemistry, dishwashing detergent, right? Better living through chemistry. This is like better living through nerdery. That's what this is, right? Better living through nerdery. It is exciting to see the nerdery coming into the automotive industry, and you know, it's fun to watch. Let's hope for more of that, right? Across industries, across, you know, technology partners, and in sales departments across the country. We always talk about, let's get that retail savviness, that customer experience savviness. Let's hustle it and shuttle it all into retail automotive.
Well, and
that
I
is
think
what
dealers are going to win because of this, because they're going to start to see these enterprise ways of doing business in the software world brought more and more into auto. Like, we actually talked on the Auto Collabs podcast with John Clavidenture, who was originally with cars.com, left auto, went into a retail space, and then has come back into it. And, I am sure what he's going to experience, and that company Outsell is going to experience, is similar types of things where they're going to press more into what enterprise tech is doing and bring that to dealers so that they can serve customers more. So when you're looking at these companies, look for who is like pushing the boundaries from a tech perspective. And it's not just CarNow and Outsell. I mean, there are a ton of companies, Upstart buying Prodigy. Like there are a lot of companies that are making these enterprise tech moves. So really excited about that. Well, speaking of enterprise tech.
Ooh.
Stop. Segue.
Time. Paul, do you have any smart home stuff in your home? Are you like one of those guys where like your shades go up?
Strikingly relevant to this story, I'm one of those guys that gets frustrated when everything just doesn't work together. So I just kick it. I'm like, forget it. Give me a light switch. Works every time.
The only thing that I really have that's a smart home is the garage, which has been extremely useful.
Really?
Well, yeah, because I can like open and close my garage door from my phone or my watch, which is great from like coming back from runs. I don't have to, I don't have to bring a key or anything.
Can you just say something to it like James Bond, like open the garage door?
You got to press.
See, that's when you really know.
So, but what Paul is saying is that a lot of this stuff, there's been these kind of silos where like Amazon and Apple and Google, and then all these other companies, Samsung and Chamberlain, and all these other companies have created different levels of smart home tech. Well, over the years, the tech is kind of like spider webbed out, but there's nothing central holding it all down to where they can talk to each other. So actually, when you buy these things, you start to have to look in like the fine print, like
everybody's got their own camp, right? Like, oh, this works with this, but not with that. This with that, with that. It's a pain in the butt.
And that's a pain in the butt from a consumer perspective. So it was probably just a couple years ago, kind of the Connect, it's called the Connectivity Standards Alliance was created, and they were set on a course to create Matter 1.0. So that's just the version, that's the name of it, in order to grab all these technologies and create a standard for how they operate, integrate, and work together so that anybody can play in the sandbox. That it's listed on the website. Matter is a protocol to connect compatible devices and systems with one another. Smart home devices should be secure, reliable, and seamless to use. With Matter, they are, which I think is a great value prop for me.
So so what this means is that once these new products are going to come out, they're going to operate according to this, this agreed upon protocol. And whether I have an iPhone or an Android, or I'm connecting through, a phone or a watch or whatever, it's just going to be likely to just work.
Yep.
That's what you're saying. So that means like the Traeger grill and the LED lights and the home cameras and all that stuff will just be like, oh, there it is. And look,
it's interesting because
like
it's still going to take a lot of work, right? But it's because there's a standard, right?
Okay. You're saying it's going to take a lot of work for them to like get it to the point of adoption,
right?
Not eventually going to take a lot of work for the consumer. Because I'm like,
Bluetooth is a standard, right? Bluetooth is a standard. It's a protocol that says this is how you connect to that. Now you still have to do the development work to make all that happen. So there's going to be a lot of redevelopment here.
That's a great,
for the average consumer, at some point, these will start to connect more and more often. And the reason why I brought this story up, I've actually been watching this story for a little while, but now on November 4th, they're actually a month from now, they're going to be launching this and kind of like celebrating it. The first few devices that are going to be on this protocol will be on display. Google is really one that's like pushing the boundaries and moving first. But for me, this is huge. We had Andy Wright at ASOTU talking about the standards, the STAR standards that the NADA has set aside, a group, a nonprofit, to put data standards in place for auto API standards, the way that data flows, so that all of these technology companies can start to intersect and they can start to work together, and customer data and vehicle data and all of that can more seamlessly move through the ecosystem, which serves the dealer, serves the customer, and all that. So like I think sometimes we get in our industry and we're like, oh, nobody else deals with this, right?
Yeah.
Everybody else
Right.
works in a world where everything works together. And the reality is there are still major companies, I mean, Google, Amazon, Apple, that are trying to figure out like, how do we play nice in the sandbox? And so for Auto to do this, it's very possible, and we can get to that place. It's just going to take a lot of work together, you know?
Well, speaking of getting to a place, you and I have to get to Miami. So we're going to shut this down. It's going to be Wheels Up. Listen, you know what works every time? Going up to someone, smiling, and giving them a compliment. That works every time.